Hello everyone, if you're hopping on, Benjamin Yurkovich here with Washington Weather Chasers. We are just going to head towards Everett here momentarily to check out what the conditions are like. Just had a pretty decent wind gust come through Lake Stevens a couple minutes ago. Nothing absolutely crazy by any means. Just gonna make sure this live stream is working real quick, and then I'm gonna get moving. Hello, yeah, as you guys are hopping into the chat, go ahead and let me know where you're watching from. Yeah, so the system seems to be coming in a little bit weaker than some of the model runs were showing. I think the peak is going to be right about any time, really. All right, we're going to get moving here. As you guys are hopping into the chat, go ahead and let me know where you're watching from. There's kind of an interesting convergence zone type feature showing up on radar. And it's heading towards the Everett area. I'm going to see if I can get a view of it here. There we go, stream is good again. Sorry about that, guys. I think I may have accidentally been hooked up to Wi-Fi back there as I was pulling out of the parking lot. Hey, EP Tricks. All right, so as I was saying, as you guys are hopping into the chat, let me know where you're watching from. Let me know what the conditions are like where you are. Currently, I am here in West Lake Stevens, and the clouds are moving at a pretty good pace. So there's definitely some decent winds just above the surface. With any heavy rain, that wind may be able to get pushed down towards the surface, but the models we're showing right around now being kind of the peak wind for this time. And up ahead, I don't know if you guys can see that dark cloud, but there is a bit of a convergence zone up there. dark scuddy features on that. Go ahead and let me know how the picture quality is, how the audio quality is. And something that also helps, if you're enjoying watching this stream already, is definitely make sure and hit that like button. That helps YouTube know that people are enjoying this and gets it out to more people. Look at that tree right there, it's blowing pretty good. I'm gonna pull over just for a moment so you guys can see that. Got some decent blowing tree action here. Yeah, it does seem like the wind is picking up here in Lake Stevens. Down there as well. Let's get moving again here. All right, starting to see the convergence zone on the other side of the trestle there. These trees right here are blowing pretty good. We're gonna go up and get into that convergence zone for a moment, I think. Looks pretty interesting visually. Look at that. Pretty dark off to my north as well. See if the winds increase when we get into this thing. Getting into the belly of the well here for this. Wind seems like it's coming strong out of the west here now with this rain. Pretty sure this is already the leading edge of a westerly surge. 39 miles per hour straight out of the west at Payne Field, guys. That's pretty substantial. That might cause some power outages. All right, we're getting onto I-5 south here. We're just gonna go south on I-5 for a little bit in this. As you're hopping in, Benjamin Yurkovich here with Washington Weather Chasers, going southbound on I-5 here in Everett. Just gusted to 39 miles per hour at Payne Field out of the west. So decent west gust for that location. If you're enjoying this stream, please make sure and hit that like button. And also, just so you guys know, I am now a YouTube partner, so super chats are available. Hopping into the chat. Good to see you guys. Golden's raining in Ravendale. Keith Evans says the west surge just hit Grandview quite strong. That's up in Arlington, North Arlington. Wind really kicking up in Monroe, says gaming and video. All right, we're back into the leading edge of this here. Cow says deep sea weather, deep sea gear weather, yep. Yep, I can visually see the trees are blowing towards the east, which means the wind is coming out of the west. At this location. I may go north, may turn around up here. And yeah, we got some sporadic power outages starting to pop up in Snohomish County. Not a ton yet. Getting pretty dark up here. I think we may actually head back towards Lake Stevens too to see what kind of wind is happening over there. All right, we're coming up near the Everett Mall here. Deteriorated conditions. Got some wind out of the west. Coming down in curtains. right, 70 people in the stream. Hello, hello. Benjamin Yurkovich here with Washington Weather Chasers. Currently near the Everett Mall in Everett, where we have a convergence zone type squall associated with the westerly surge of wind coming down the Strait of Juan de Fuca, converging with the southerly winds. My wife is texting me that she encountered huge rain just a moment ago on her drive home. If you're enjoying this stream, please make sure and hit that like button. That'll be very, very helpful. Wow, the wind is really coming down good out of the west here. I don't know if you can see those trees bending across the road over there. It's raining super heavy over in Lake Stevens, where I just was right now. Getting on I-5 northbound again. Just gonna check out a variety of locations up and down the I-5 corridor. Might head over towards the water in a bit. If you're in Lake Stevens, let me know how heavy the rain is coming down. All right, looking at the trees here. Still coming out of the west. Seems like the west surge came in a little bit early. Heavy wind-blown rain in Lake Stevens is the word. All right. And of course, if you guys are enjoying this stream, please make sure and hit that like button. I'll get to answering any comments while I can safely. I'm behind the heaviest rain here. Looking at the radar, I kind of want to head back towards Lake Stevens and Snohomish and Monroe. I might try to go through this again. But the wind is probably going to end up being stronger on the back side of this. .39 miles per hour out of the west at Payne Field and Everett, 28 miles per hour out of the west in Arlington, It's now gusting to 39 over at the Shelton Airport. Almost up to 30 miles. Well, it looks like it did gust up to 35 miles per hour at SeaTac. Not too bad. CG Green says definitely windy by Smoky Point, Marysville. Christy says wind picking up in Marysville. Alright, I'll head back towards Marysville, Smoky Point here in a bit. Curious if there's any chance of me getting back into this heavy shower that's heading towards Snohomish, Monroe. Might be a slim chance, but thinking about giving it a shot. Currently heading eastbound on Highway 2. If you're enjoying this stream, please make sure and hit that like button, and also subscribe if you're not subscribed already. That'll help the channel push out this live stream to more and more people. And also, if you know anyone that might enjoy this stream, you can copy the link and send it to a friend or a family member, or post it in a community group or something. Alright, now gusting up to 29 out of the west, up there in Arlington. going to try to punch up ahead of this convergence zone again. Currently heading eastbound on Highway 2. How is the audio quality and the stream quality, by the way? Is it good? Thank you, Keith. Appreciate that. Stream is great. Awesome. Appreciate that, Kat. All right, glad to hear everything's working well. The wind is not too bad here in Snohomish. Basically, once we get up near this convergence zone, I just want to see what it looks like. We'll probably turn around and head back towards Arlington or something like that. I think that's where the stronger winds are at the moment. But then south of Everett, down by Linwood and whatnot, you guys are still going to be dealing with southerly winds. But not terribly strong southerlies right now. Thank God for warm Americanos. If you're just hopping into the stream, Benjamin Yurkovich here with Washington Weather Chasers, out checking out the wind conditions here in Washington State, specifically near Snohomish, Washington right now, heading east on Highway 2. CP Green, can you remind me exactly where you are again? Twin Lakes. Yeah, we're getting back into this here. It's really coming down. It's about to come down even heavier up ahead here. You can tell people are not enjoying driving in this rain, which is understandable. Cool Mint Pipper says we were in bad shape 25 minutes ago. Everett. Just got a little bit of a wind gust here. Really coming down. Pretty strong gust of wind here in the rain. Right by Snohomish now. Got people pulling over. As you're hopping in the stream, if you're enjoying this, please make sure and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you guys think you might know anyone that would enjoy these kind of live streams on a semi-frequent basis, it'd be very helpful if you let them know about this channel, Washington Weather Chasers. When we have active weather, I'm going to try to get out as often as I can to do these live streams for you guys. CB Green, are you talking about Twin Lakes in eastern Washington? We are in it now. This is when you say it's raining cats and dogs. Probably a rain rate here close to 0.75 inches per hour or more maybe. Nice. All right, we're about to break out of this here. I'm gonna get a view of this convergence zone, what it looks like. Bill, the main risk today is really wind and heavy bouts of rain. We're still early enough in the season where even a 40-mile-per-hour gust can pose issues. Okay, so we're driving east on Highway 2. We're almost to Monroe. it looks like I'm back into the southerlies now. So this is where the southerlies and the westerlies are colliding. That's why that squall is developing the way it is. Oh, got to pull over here if I can. There's really not much of a shoulder. Hopefully there's not an accident back the way where I just came from. Guy was flying. Okay, so yeah, looking at the surface winds, looks a little bit canceled out right here, but it looks like we're getting back into being in the southerlies. Yeah, happy November 1st, everyone. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Benjamin Yurkovich. I run this YouTube channel, Washington Weather Chasers. Also run the Facebook group, Washington Weather Chasers. Hey, Kurt Kaplan. Good to see you in the chat. All right, we got some Scuddy-looking features down to my south. The radar looks a bit beefier up to my north. I'm just going to get into Monroe here. We're going to take a look at these clouds. And then we're going to head back into the belly of the whale, the belly of the beast. Yep. So it seems to me like the southerlies are still here. Southerly wind in Monroe. That makes sense. You guys got to see this wall of rain. Yeah, check that out. It's just a wall back off to the west. Looking at your comments here real fast. Oh, CG Green. Oh, okay, the border of Marysville and Smoky Point. Wind has got growling winds. All right, I'm going to head back towards Arlington and Marysville. Sounds like that's really where the strongest winds in the area are happening right now. Let me know if you have any questions. Your questions will show up highlighted if you send it as a super chat. That'll make it a little easier to notice. But I'll still try to get to all questions. All right, you guys ready to go back into it? Actually, real quick here. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. All right, wind is now out of the west again, or the west in general here in Monroe. It's beginning to make that switch. here we go. Green light. Let's roll. Going to be going directly into the westerly winds here. And into this kind of squall. There we go. Yeah, you can hear it whistling up on the roof. Woo! Thank you to everyone joining along with me today. If you're enjoying this stream, please make sure and hit that like button. I know it sounds silly, that kind of helps out the algorithm and gets the stream out to more people. This is not a major storm by any means, but still active weather, and well, we are Washington weather chasers. We chase weather. It doesn't necessarily need to be a crazy storm for us to chase it. But this is still pretty interesting to see. So it looks like there's a decent amount of power outages to the east of Lake Stevens now, where that squall went through. East of Lake Stevens, south of Granite Falls, pretty close to Lake Bosworth, there's a power outage. I wonder if a tree came down on the line. About 1,500 people out. Puget Sound Energy has almost 4,000 people out of power, not a ton. And some kind of exciting news. I became a YouTube partner just a couple days ago, which is fun. So that should help fund some of these storm chases and whatnot. My goal was to get that finished before all the snow chasing live streams that I'm hoping we'll have this year. Yep, pretty wild gaming videos. It was pretty good back there in Monroe just now with that squall line. We should be getting into more westerly winds here the further west we go now, because we're solely in westerly wind turf here. There was some decent southerly wind in Lake Stevens. I wish I still had my weather station set up. I'm guessing it gusted to at least 30 something out of the south in Lake Stevens. But now that we've had this westerly surge go through, we should primarily have westerlies for the next couple hours. And the way these westerly surges work is they oftentimes will kind of ramp up. The squall line will go through, and then it'll be out of the west, and then it'll slowly just continue to ramp up as time goes on. Fire truck going the other way. All right. Pull over to the best of my ability. I guess it's an ambulance, not a fire truck. By the way, if you guys are wondering what that Ko-Fi link is that I keep on posting, that's just a nice resource for creators like myself. They allow donations to be given there, and they don't take a cut whatsoever. So it's pretty nice. Whereas oftentimes if people give stars on Facebook or super chats on YouTube will end up keeping a bit of a percentage of that. But Ko-Fi lets creators keep 100%. Gaming and Videos in Monroe says that their power just went out in Monroe, back where I just was. Unofficial Washington State Wildfire Aware says west winds. If you're enjoying this stream, please make sure and hit that like button. Let's try to get this stream out to as many people as possible. It'd be awesome if we can get the viewers up to like 200 or something like that. If you know anyone that you could share this with. Bill Barclay asks if I will ever eventually add on screen info, like my location, displays a mini map, weather radar. Yeah, so I've actually been planning on researching how to do that. I think I have an idea of how to. Yep, and I see Ty and Main Street is in the house. Want to give a call out to them. They were very generous towards their support of the tires on my Chaser rig. They genuinely make super good food. I like their Thai street noodles. If you've ever been to Mexico and have had authentic street tacos, I liken their Thai street noodles to how good authentic street tacos are in Mexico. So yeah, Thai on Main Street, Monroe, give it a shot. Great Thai food, great Lao food. And then also shout out to Allied Motorsport, who also helped me out with my tires, and a shout out to Bead City Detail, who treated my glass. And also shout out to all the subscribers and anyone else who has supported the mission here at Washington Weather Chasers. Alright, so now I'm heading westbound on Highway 2, about to go across the trestle towards Everett again. We're going to be doing a bit of a test here. I've got a cell phone data booster. Whenever I head towards Smoky Point area and basically between Arlington and Mount Vernon, I would always have a difficult time with cell phone service. I'm curious to see if having this data booster is going to help the situation or not. So brake lights. Hopefully there might be an accident on Highway 2 if this is what's going on. I'm going to pull up Google Maps here and find out. Slow down. Kind of odd. Yeah, I've got a couple plans on ways I'm going to improve this stream. Kind of cool. So Pacific Northwest Weather Watch, Michael, by the way, if you don't already follow his page, make sure and follow Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. But he's trying out a Starlink. I was thinking about getting a Starlink mounted on my vehicle as well, and so I'm happy to have a friend who's testing one out. I'm going to be interested to hear how that goes, because cell phone service can be spotty and it's frustrating when you can't have a consistent live stream. But so far, this data booster that I bought has been working pretty good overall. But I think I'm going to probably invest in a second Washington Weather Chasers phone so I can have more efficient communication while I'm out here live streaming with people, and also be able to post updates on the Washington Weather Chasers page a little bit more easy. Maybe get a mount on my driver's side window so I can put the live stream camera facing out the driver's side window if I need to. hands-free. So yeah, I'm planning on having all those things ready to go and testing all those things. Turning on the northbound I-5 here in Everett. It's not too terribly windy right here at this location. If you're just hopping on, Benjamin Yurkovich here with Washington Weather Chasers, checking out this wind event that's affecting Washington State. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I hope to earn your subscription today. And also, if you're enjoying this live stream, please make sure and hit that like button. That really helps me out. Helps get this live stream out to more people. And also, something else that could help is if you guys know anyone who would enjoy watching storm chase live streams in Washington State, especially when we get into winter and we got lowland snow and whatnot. That's my favorite kind of weather to live stream. Make sure and share this channel with your friends and family if that's something that you think they would enjoy watching. Yeah, so Ice Crossfire mentions that it's starting to clear up a little bit on the Everett waterfront and it's starting to get a little gustier. That's what I've noticed with these west surges, is the squall comes through, it's a bit gusty, but then once the squall clears out and the sky starts to clear up a little bit, that's when the westerly winds begin to get a little bit stronger. So we may still have the peak of the westerly winds to contend with here. Go ahead and let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what your conditions are like. Also let me know if the stream quality is okay or if there's something that needs to improve. See more and more people hopping into the stream. Hello. See that flag coming out of the west right there? Got westerly winds here between Everett and Marysville. Yeah, pushing clouds away. That's a good way of thinking of it. Yeah, that's a good idea, Bill. Forget the name of the storm chaser that has that. I think it's Brandon Kopic. He has a PTZ. Snohomish County still floating around 4,000 people without power. Most of the folks without power are in the foothill communities, around 3 lakes and stuff like that. convergence zone looks really interesting on radar right now, south of Monroe. Pretty interesting segment just to the north of Duval. That seems like a hotbed for those convergence zone cells to really ramp up. I think it has something to do with the low-level winds coming up south out of the Snoqualmie Valley colliding with the converging winds. Hundred 36 people in the stream. Hello, guys. Is that where you're watching from, Bill? Is Scotland? That's awesome. Anya, hi from Snohomish. Anya felt the wall shake with the wind this morning. Yeah, go ahead and continue. Let me know where you're watching from. That's fun to see. Can't believe it's November already. We're starting to get back into the westerly winds here now. We're up in Marysville. Thank you. Topping you off for posting that. Going to Ireland in the spring. Alright, yeah, the westerlies are starting to pick up more and more the further north I get here. Right now I'm in North Marysville, and the westerlies are going pretty decently here. Yeah, Bill, you should share this channel with all your Scottish friends. That'd be awesome to get some more Scottish people in here. Smurfs Up, watching from Victoria. Nice to see you in the chat. Karen, watching from Vermont. Hello, welcome. Up there in Bow, Washington, rain has stopped. No wind. You know, my family almost moved to Bow when I was a child. Yeah, we're primarily going to be going up to the Donegal region. We got some better west wind up here. Noticeable. I'm going to go ahead and get in the slow lane. Outage map still hasn't really changed. We still have wind advisories up. There's no flood warnings just yet. Don't know if we're going to get any. Gusting up to 37 miles per hour now down at SeaTac out of the south. That's actually peak wind down there so far. All right, so up here, this is where the cell phone service test is really going to come into play. This is where the cell phone service would historically struggle in previous live streams. And I've got a new cell phone data booster, so I'm curious to see if it's better. Hear the wind whistling up on the roof. CG Green. All right, passing CG Green in the chat right now up here in Smoky Point. Not Taden says wind's picking up down in Maple Valley. Yeah, let me know if the wind is picking up where you are. Looks like the wind is the strongest it's been all day down in Seattle right now. All right, the stream is still going good. That's exciting. So yeah, not a major storm by any means here, but blustery. Last weekend storm had quite a bit more impacts for sure. I'm gonna go into one of the neighborhoods here that has a lot of trees, so we can just kind of look at the trees blowing in the wind for a minute. Guess I have my own lane. Gonna merge over. K-Basket says it just really picked up in Kirkland. All right, that's probably the pressure rise coming through. Kirkland's actually getting pretty close. It looks like those westerlies are kind of trying to make their way down. The sound a little bit. Excuse me. Green light. Trunky says Darrington lost power. So yeah, we're getting some noticeable impacts. There's been multiple people in the chat that have said they've lost power. If you are new into the chat, hello, Benjamin Yurkovich here with Washington Weather Chasers. If you're enjoying the stream, please make sure and hit that like button. And also subscribe if you're not already subscribed to the channel. If you would like to support the channel, future chases, help us get more equipment for chases, whatnot, you can send us a super chat, or you can follow that link that I just posted in the comments to Ko-Fi. Absolutely no pressure to do so, though. Bill. I don't know who that English accented guy was the other day with the mask on. Yeah, I dressed up as a Wesley from The Princess Bride. My wife dressed up as Princess Buttercup, and we dressed up our 1-year-old son as an ROUS, a rodent of unusual size. Had a really cute kind of rat outfit. Yeah, I even went all out with the stupid mustache. I still haven't shaved it. Okay, we're getting back to a better service area here in just a minute, so stand by. Yeah, I'll have to show you guys my Wesley mustache here in a minute. Go ahead and top off the gas over here while I'm up here. Checking out gas prices. $3.45 a gallon here, not too bad, but there's more of a line. I don't know if I want to wait in the line just to save a couple cents. Stand by, everyone. Gonna go back through that light. Apologize. Real quick, I'll show you guys the Wesley mustache here once I get to the gas station. Backing up all over the place around here. All right, folks, just gonna fill up on some gas here real quick for those of you who were wondering about the outfit last night. I'm gonna show you my atrocious mustache here. Yeah, look at that thing. It's just horrible. I cannot wait to go home and shave this. It's so bad. Oh, okay. All right, folks, I'll be right back. Alexis likes the mustache. Oh shoot. You guys can hear that music? Yeah, that's the problem with gas stations. Thanks for the note on the music there. Yeah, that's the music playing at the gas station here. Hopefully YouTube lets that one fly. Well, the wind does not seem to be that crazy here anymore. Yeah, it's kind of died down. It's gusting to 18 at the Arlington airport now, it looks like. Okay. Ice Crossfire didn't see the mustache, I'm assuming she wants to. I'm gonna show real quick. There it is. Look at that little, yeah, it's too small. I liked my mustache before, so I'm gonna probably go home and shave this off. Last night, I dressed up as Wesley from The Princess Bride. That's what that mustache is all about. Yeah, CG Green, I was over in West Monroe when it first went through. If you guys are just hopping in, Benjamin Yurkovich with Washington Weather Chasers here. We just had some westerly wind come through the Arlington area here and Marysville area here. It seems to be calming down now. That might have been the worst of it. Keep the stream going as I kind of head back. Really pretty cloud up ahead. I'm gonna pull over and get a shot of that for a minute. Testing out a little something here. Don't really know how this is going to look. Like I was saying earlier, I just became a YouTube partner. And so I'm testing out all these features that I'm not super familiar with. But was able just to start a goal there to make a super chat goal. Oops. No, I don't want to do that. Okay, there we go. All right, so yeah, just looking at kind of the back end of this westerly surge here. This is looking kind of towards Warm Beach, Stanwood, Camino. Really pretty sky. Gusting to 38 miles per hour down there at SeaTac right now. All right, we'll get driving around here again. Yeah, who's excited for fallback? Yep, last Saturday's storm was quite a bit worse. So looking at the most recent model run data here, probably right about now is peak southerlies for down there by Seattle and whatnot. But then there is actually going to be a renewed surge of westerlies sometime pretty soon. So you should be able to, if you're out there on Whidbey Island, expect that. I may pull over right up here just for a moment. There's a chance I might stay closer up to Stanwood for a while and wait for that. Yeah, the high resolution model data kind of shows this lull that I'm in up in Arlington perfectly right now, and it's nailing the wind gusts down there in Seattle. And then it shows the westerlies picking up over Whidbey Island, especially around the Admiralty Inlet between 1 and 2. Arlington area, the HRRR model wants to give up towards 40 mile per hour gusts around 2 p.m. I have to go be at something at 2 p.m., but it looks like it could last for a few hours. Pull over right up here real quick and take a look at observations. If you're just hopping in, Benjamin Yurkovich here with Washington Weather Chasers. Just was checking out the storm that's impacting the area here. Not as bad as last Saturday's storm, but still had some decent wind gusts here in Snohomish County. It's died down a little bit here in Snohomish County. But going into the next couple hours here, expecting kind of a renewed surge of westerly wind. Just going to pull over up here so that I can take a look at some other data. Yeah, and I can kind of show you guys what I'm looking at here just for a moment. Okay. So, this is looking at the most recent HRRR run. So this is right about now, and this model run had Seattle gusting to 37. Seattle did just gust. If we look at this, This is acting kind of wonky. But Seattle did just gust to 38 miles per hour. Had that line go through. This is where that squall line was with those weak westerlies. But then as we go between now and 1, it shows the westerlies beginning to pick up there in the Strait of Juan de Fuca. And then it'll begin strengthening around the Arlington area here again this afternoon, if this model run is correct. Could even get gusts up towards 43 miles per hour near like Warm Beach and Lake Goodwin and stuff like that. Out there in Camino Island, 44 miles per hour. So it's not over yet. And then it'll eventually die down. Not sure what that feature is there. Let's take a look and see if that's like a shower or something. Oh yeah, interesting. Has some thunderstorms going through late tonight. With some convective-induced wind gusts. That'd be interesting, especially out there on the coast. Don't have the newest run of the NAM just yet. But then tomorrow is going to be a lot calmer. A lot calmer. And also, take a look at the European model here real quick. I gotta go to a more regional view here. Yeah, tomorrow's going to be nicer compared to today. There will be some mid-level clouds around though. Might be able to get some nice sunrise type photos. Then mid-level clouds build in. And then there's more stuff around on Monday. North Marysville could get in on the westerly wind action again as it begins to pick up. Just taking a look at OBS. Not really seeing an increase in the westerly winds out in the Strait of Juan de Fuca is the only pause that I have. You can see the system moving through here. This right here is that convergence zone activity. Yeah, the low was not super consolidated. We're fortunate that this didn't come in deeper and more compact because it really was a good ideal track for strong wind. If you're just hopping in and you haven't already let me know where you're watching from, let me know where you're watching from. Christy says, strong gust bin. Yeah, possibly with the west surge later, but so far I'm not seeing the actual observations picking up over the strait. Yeah, CG Green. You're north Marysville, Smoky Point area. You're more susceptible to getting those westerly winds. I would stick around to see if those westerly winds do pick up, but I need to start kind of making my way back so I'm home in time for a prior commitment that I got to be at. But I'll go south on I-5 and then back towards Lake Stevens. You guys can hang out with me if you want to. Hey, Chad. Big Gus just came through Maple Valley, says not hidden. If you are one of the people over on Facebook watching on YouTube, do you guys think that the YouTube live stream is better than it was over on Facebook? Awesome, glad it's better. I'll still be very active over on the Facebook page. I think Facebook is great for posting photos and forecast updates and different things like that, but it's not the best for live streaming. Snowblitz says that the wind is starting to kick up in North Bend. By the way, if you're enjoying the stream, please make sure and hit that like button. Also subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more live streams of storm chases around Washington State. I'm going to try to get out and chase as often as I can. Snow Blitz, thank you for the super chat. Super appreciate that. No problem. And you can expect more live streams as we head further into autumn and winter. Definitely appreciate that. Something else that's active on the page now is you can become a member, or you can become a recurring subscriber over on Ko-Fi. And all members earn themselves a invite to a private Washington Weather Chasers supporter group chat. Which I think is kind of fun. Not a whole lot of wind here right now, but I am expecting there to be an increase in westerly wind up by Arlington, Smoky Point, as we head into the afternoon. Whidbey Island, of course, Camino Island also, and more so. Sometimes I forget that I have a giant cell phone data booster on my roof and people are giving me funny looks. I'm like, oh yeah. Yeah, the clouds are pretty nice right now. They look even nicer off to the east. We're about to turn east onto the trestle, US 2. heading eastbound on Highway 2 across the trestle towards Lake Stevens right now. If you're just hopping on, you don't know who I am. It's Benjamin Nurkovich with Washed Weather Chasers here. Had a little bit of a storm chase today. It was kind of like borderline being able to call it a storm, but it definitely got blustery out here. Looking forward to the next legit storm chase, though. Just want to thank Snowblitz again for that super chat. Super appreciate it. Appreciate that, Christy. I will say, you know, I don't claim to get it right all the time, but it does help to know the local area. And yeah, I don't know. I really appreciate nerding out about the systems that come in and trying to get it right to the best of my ability. Really hoping that we can get some good lowland snow this winter. Sometimes if the pattern's just right, you can even get a good setup in late November. I have a feeling, though, that we probably have a better chance in January and February. Green asks if I've always been interested in weather. Yeah, you know, for as long as I can remember, I've had an interest in weather. 35 years old right now, and for as long as I can remember. I think my parents nurtured that in me a bit. My mom, I remember her taking me for drives when I was a child to go see flooding rivers and stuff like that. But I also just in general remember enjoying watching the clouds and looking at the sky. And my parents noticed that, and they ended up getting me some like weather encyclopedia books and different atmospheric science type things. Just kind of started reading about it, studying it, and then they got me the movie Twister when I was, I believe, 6 years old. Fell in love with that movie. Made me want to chase tornadoes. And then when the horrible F5 tornado happened in Moore, Oklahoma in 1999, I remember being fascinated with that event. I would read everything I could find. I remember printing out articles and papers and stuff at the age of 9 years old on that. And when I turned 13, my dad took me out to the plains for my first storm chase out there, and that was awesome. It was kind of like his becoming a man trip for me. And then we went again when I was 20, and the first time going solo was in 2012 when I was 22 years old. Ended up going out to the plains for 2 months and just chased everything I could. Saw quite a few tornadoes. My first tornado day, I saw multiple tornadoes in that one day, and then I ended up chasing the April 15th, 2012 tornado outbreak in Kansas. Saw 8 tornadoes in that day. And yeah, ever since 2012, just been storm chasing as often as I can. I actually don't know my exact tornado count, but I think I'm up around 50 right now. Started being more active in the storm chasing scene here in Washington State like around 2014. I think I was posting stuff on Twitter around then and things like that. And then got this Washington Weather Chasers up and going in 2019. Yeah, I went to school for a while. I had the intention of becoming a meteorologist. And then life ended up taking me in a slightly different direction. But thankfully, I still get to partake in weather-related activity and still learning every day. Always learning. And I get to do multiple things that I love. Yeah, Keith Evans, El Reno tornado, 2.6 miles wide. Kind of a interesting thing I like to do when I have people in the car with me. When I'm going down towards the trestle, I'll point to the trestle and I'll state the fact that it's 2.4 miles long from start to finish. The US 2 trestle from Lake Stevens to Everett. The El Reno tornado in Oklahoma, 2013, was 2.6 miles wide. So the El Reno tornado was 0.2 miles wider than the trestle is long. It just really kind of puts it in perspective how big that beast was. If you're just hopping into the chat, Benjamin Yurkovich here. I'm in Lake Stevens right now. Ice Crossfire says SeaTac getting strong winds right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at what the observations are down there. Oh wow. SeaTac just hit 45 miles per hour, folks. Strongest gust of the day down there at SeaTac. I'm gonna pull over real quick. So I can post that on the page. Yeah, look at that. SeaTac, 45 miles per hour gusts. It's the strongest gust of the day down there. Gonna take a screenshot of that, and I'm gonna go ahead and pop over to Facebook. Post that on there. All right, stand by, folks. post. Okay. Thanks for saying that, Ice. Sea green. Climate change probably has some effect on weather patterns, but to what degree? There's a lot of varying opinion on that. But I don't deny that the climate has been changing to some degree. But I think, like one aspect, we haven't gotten, like, it used to get way colder in the winters here. Like, that's one aspect of Western Washington climate that has definitely changed. Like, I remember hearing stories of Lake Stevens freezing over and people being able to drive their cars on the lake in the 50s, in the 1950s. That's something that does not happen in Western Washington anymore. So that's a definite change. So in some regards, in some parts of the world, maybe some storm systems are more intense, but for here in Washington State, I think overall things are getting a little bit less intense. Like, our Arctic outbreaks are not as intense. There's windstorms in the past that were way more intense than the windstorms we've been getting. The heat wave of 2021 was pretty intense, but there's also some varying opinions on that. But overall, if you guys are wondering kind of my position on that, I kind of choose, I just choose to continue to enjoy the weather and to not get too absorbed in studying the effects of climate change. Just read up on weather patterns, how to forecast weather, and get out and enjoy the weather. Well, Sea Green, feel free to ask away. I'm not going to claim that my perspective on everything is 100% the right perspective, but I do have my stances on things. Yeah, one thing's for sure, the climate is always changing. And I guess the real question that people have is how much of it is being caused by humans. But anyways, let's just enjoy the storm. Yeah, so if you guys are just hopping on, SeaTac gusted to 45, gusting pretty decently in places like Redmond, or Renton right now rather. And still kind of keeping an eye out for that westerly surge. It's not looking as aggressive as it was in the models. It's gusting the 35 out of the west of Victoria. I think that's the peak wind gust. So that might be an indication that the west winds are actually beginning to pick up. Race rocks. Okay. 1 p.m. Yep. So the west wind is beginning to pick up at the race rocks up there on the BC side of the Strait of Juan de Fuca. It's sustained at 35 miles per hour or so. Yeah, it looks like the pressure's rising pretty good there now. So the west winds are coming. I'm going to keep this live stream going as long as possible, kind of doing a test here in this area as well. We're getting closer to where I live. If you're just hopping in and you haven't already liked the stream, please make sure and like the stream and also subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content. I'm planning on getting out and doing storm chase live streams as often as I can, especially when we actually have legit storms going on. I'm looking forward to getting up in the mountains and doing a snow chase live stream here sometime soon. I'm interested to see how the cell phone data does in this area right here. So again, a reminder, I've got a cell phone data booster that I've been testing out, pretty hardcore one at that. And this area right here is historically an area that I struggle to live stream in. So far, it seems like the booster is enabling me to be able to live stream through here, which is kind of a big deal. I'm glad you like the mustache, Katrina, because it's coming off in about 10 minutes. I'm going to be growing out my normal mustache, or maybe a beard again. We'll see. And you're welcome for the live stream. Hey, look at this, guys. I am streaming in an area that I couldn't stream before. That's still working. All right, now we're starting to get to the struggle area, but still the fact that I'm able to live stream it all around here is